Well, certainly that's part of the calculations that President Erdogan would have factored in when he made the decision to purchase these. On the face of it, the US is able to impose sanctions based on the fact that here is a NATO ally choosing to import weapon systems from Russia. And some members of Congress have indicated that that's a possibility. One of the other possibilities is that the US will stop Turkey from purchasing the F-35s, fighter aircraft in the future, and there are indications they've already stopped allowing Turkish pilots to train in the United States. So it's a very difficult road that the US has to, or policy road that the US has to travel on this one, and you would imagine that President Erdogan has factored in how difficult it is for the US to sanction such a close ally as Turkey before he purchased this missile system.
Rodger, what does it really say about U.S. relations, not just with Turkey, but more broadly with the region? When you have, just a few years ago, I was standing on the banks of the Bosphorus and I was watching as warships essentially moved down the Bosphorus, and all of this was in response to the spat between Turkey and Russia when you had that plane being downed by the Turks, and the Turks waiting on their NATO allies, the U.S. in particular, to have their back there. When they found that they didn't, now just a few years later, we're buying Russian missile systems.
Yes, I mean, it's very difficult. It's one of the most difficult relationships that the US has in the region. As you pointed out, a very close and long-term close ally of the United States. Under President Erdogan, it has taken a distinctly nationalist turn, and as you pointed out, had a very rocky relationship with Russia only a few years ago after it downed a Russian aircraft. But I think Russia and Turkey realised that the immediate future, for the most immediate problem they have, which is Syria, they have to have closer relationships. And President Erdogan feels that a close relationship with Russia is in his best interest because they are much less demanding a friend than the United States is. So it's very difficult diplomatically for the United States to deal with Turkey at the moment, and we're seeing that being reflected in this missile purchase program.
And certainly, speaking of difficult to deal with, you have a situation right now where Hassan Rouhani said, you know, if you just bring us back to where we were a few months ago, we're ready to talk to you. Pompeo has essentially pushed this aside, brushed it aside, and is really only allowing the foreign minister of Iran to come into the United States for those UN meetings. I mean, they're pretty much curtailing him from a couple of buildings and then down the street to another couple of buildings at the UN. How optimistic are you that we're going to see a breakthrough at all in the next few days in terms of those opportunities for talks?
Listen, I think you would have to be extremely pessimistic on this one. You know, if you're looking at the glass half full, you could say a few weeks ago Washington was signalling that perhaps in the next raft of sanctions the Iranian Foreign Minister Zarif would be included in that. Now, at least, he's been given a very restricted visa to the United States, so that's probably Washington trying to signal to Tehran that they're willing for talks, and they've said that before. But yeah, Iran will continue to say that they were abiding by the deal that President Obama had signed, or the IAEA had said that Iran was, so they see no need to renegotiate a deal with which they were complying. So I think we're going to see this standoff for some months to come yet.
Hey everybody, it's Hadley Gamble from our new CNBC Middle East Bureau in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for stopping by. Now, to watch more, you can try one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe.